In the global dating market, we ain't worried about America. In the global dating market, in terms of desirability, it's white men at the top, it's black men number 2, it's Hispanic men number 3, and Asian men number 4. In terms of desirability, in terms of all the data and stats that they're collecting, in terms of marriages, in terms of sex, access to sex, and the dating app data, black men are second. Asian men are last. Asian women don't want Asian men in mass. On the flip side, depending on the depending on the data, number 1 is either Asian women or white women, depending on the study. And then number 3 is Hispanic women, and then last is black women.
You just crucified yourself.
It's not crucified, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I'm saying it in that way and breaking it down in that way is,
I did want to address something you said earlier about equality, and my position is we're more alike than we are different.
Okay.
Now, biologically, our bodies are definitely different. Socially, we're basically the same. Now, I understand what you were saying. I completely agree with all of that. When you put it like that, I was like, okay, yeah, for sure. But I think a lot of women are asking just for equity, not necessarily equality. Like, we don't necessarily want to be equal to you, but we definitely want the environment to be equitable. We want to be able to have the same opportunities to just function the way we function.
can you
I'm
give me
much
an
different.
example, just so I know I'm on the same page with you? Can you give me an example?
So I'm much different than the average woman. The average woman does not own a garage full of power tools. The average woman just doesn't do, like, I like getting dirty and doing what I do. And I know that I
The
can't
average
do the
lonely woman
same.
does.
Say what?
The average lonely woman has a garage full of power tools. Trust me.
No, they don't. No,
Oh
they don't,
shit! They
Darwin.
gotta get down
No,
there and
they
fix
don't.
that shit themselves.
No, they don't. Because my friends call me to do all of their work. They do not do that. The average woman does not have a garage full. The average single woman does not have a garage full of power tools. They have a Rolodex full of people that they can call to do the work that they need done.
I'm just messing
And
with
they pay those people for sure. But and I know that I am not able to do the things the way a man can do it because we are different. But the opportunity to show up and have the opportunity to do the things that I do want to do and like to do and I am able to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like in my relationship, I don't want to be looked at differently as if I'm masculine just because I'm building a greenhouse in my backyard. A lot of men are put off by that, right? Like, I want to be seen just as a person who has a lot of talents. Like,
Okay.
I'm talented, right? And so I don't want to be looked at differently because of that, because a lot of men have a very rigid view of what a woman is supposed to be. So when I take out my power tools and I'm taking raw materials and I make it something, I don't want a man to be like, I don't want a woman to do all that. There's real manly right there. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
but I got I got booty shorts and a sports bra. I'm cute doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
very feminine. I just do what I do. And I think we're just asking for equity and just to be seen as people, just like y'all like to be seen as people and not these dainty, feminine, like helpless creatures.
All right. Thank you for that. I have 2 or 3 points I think that could be very helpful with this. Number one, you and Jasmine, are y'all, outside of you two being equal in terms of being human beings, like in terms of value, are you two equal? No. Right. So if you're not equal with another woman, then you're
Damn.
not equal with another man. And I'm not equal with Darwin outside of the fact that we're our equality starts and stops, believe it or not, with our humanity. All other distinctions, our gender, our age, our experience, our skill set, there's reasons for why one person will get the job, another person will get the job. In 2025, there is nothing that you can't do in terms of employment, right? Even in terms of intense fields, physical labor fields, they'll lower the standards now for women so that they can do it. So if you want to be a firefighter, you don't have to have the same standard that a male firefighter has to do. If you want to be in the military, your mile won't be the mile of your male counterpart. You want to be a police officer, you name it. Field after field after field. By default, because you're in America, as a woman, you can already go and do that. The issue for all women, and I'll say this specifically to Black women, is, yes, you're right. You probably had experiences where there were some men that were turned off because you had a certain type of job. A lot of men, I can't speak for your personal experience, but a lot of men are not actually turned off by the job or even the type of job. They're turned off by the traits that are often associated with those women. The behavioral traits that sometimes comes with women that has very demanding schedules, demanding jobs, demanding fields, is that they're highly disagreeable, that they are a little rough around the edges. They assume because I look good that I'm still feminine. Because I get my nails done, I'm still feminine. Because my hair and I got my makeup on, I still let a man lead. Well, I always look at it through the lens: does your outcomes reflect the thing that you're saying that you're doing? So an example of what I'm basically saying is, when I talk to women who are struggling in the dating market, and they're saying, "Oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing that," but I'm saying, but if all the men, your outcomes would typically be different. If I'll say it this way, because you kind of mentioned something in terms of you want to be perceived a certain way from men, right? You want them to still see you as soft, as still feminine, or yeah, in essence, right? And that you don't want what you do to impact how people see you. If we flip it, and this is where I think both sexes can get a better understanding of this stuff. When you all question what it is about men being turned on and turned off about stuff, what's your icks? What's your things that makes it known? I can't do this guy. I absolutely can't take him seriously. I'm not going to return his phone call. That's not my type. Whatever that list of things is that attracts you or turns you away, we have our own version of that. And again, no one has to teach us that.
Well, but my point is that there is a very rigid view of what a woman is. And so I get icks. I promise I do. And I'm not, again, I don't invalidate experiences. It's
Okay.
cool. Like how you feel, how you experience things. I'm never going to invalidate that. But there is a very rigid view. Like you have to meet these certain points to be this feminine woman to men. And for me, and the other women can agree or disagree, but for me, the it normally is that rigidity and all of the things that come with it. The rigid masculinity, the rigid like gender roles.
Why is it rigid?
I don't like, because it can never be anything else but what you all see it as, right? Like you're not allowing people to just be people. Like women are not these bullet point things. You cannot list what a feminine woman is because it looks different.
We live
And
in a
it should
society.
look different just like men in their masculinity can look different.
We
Bo, I
allow
have
you
a
to
question.
feel.
Sorry, Darren. Bro, I have a question for you. And I hope that this question will illustrate the direction I'm going in.
Okay.
Who do you think has more prerequisites or standards in order for them to be satisfied and interested in order to date the opposite sex? Who got the higher? Who has the much longer list of expectations that the opposite sex has to meet in terms of requirements?
Okay, if we're talking about in society,
Damn.
then I guess it has to be women.
You
Okay.
guess.
So of the few things, so hold on, just 1 second. So just to clarify, there's actually very few things that men are actually looking for and to satisfy. And I think our standards have had to go down every decade in order for us to be able to still find a suitable partner.
Not mine.
So what I'm suggesting is rather than trying to demonize women with their lengthy list of prerequisites. So for instance, if you don't want to if you feel like you don't want men to be so rigid with their viewpoints, I'm not going to shame women that want a man that's taller than them. I'm never going to shame women that want a man that's not weaker than them. I'm never going to shame women that don't want to be with men that they don't feel safe with and that he feel like that he can't protect them. So rather than being like, well, you just need to change that. No, that's what you can't go through 10,000 years of evolutionary biology and know that who you are and how you've been shaped to be. There's actually certain natural inclinations of what no one had to teach you that you may have felt safer with a man that you weren't looking down on. That's just hardwired in you. So remember when I mentioned about that blank slate theory thing? A blank slate theorist will have issues with the opposite sex's stances of what they're attracted to that they feel they're not measuring up to. So when you hear these men that's going off and complaining about women this and women that, evolutionary biology is learning about, in order for you to not be a genetic dead end as a man, you have to adapt to what women want. You don't get to dictate what it is that women are attracted to or what they want. What they want is what they want, and they're not going to settle. So if we're going to hold women to that standard, then we have to hold men to especially men who have the choice and option as well. The man that you want has standards just like you do. And just like many of the key core things that you either like or don't like or turn-ons and turn-offs, you get to arbitrarily decide which one of those you want to honor or set aside. So too does he. Now, for you, a guy may look at you and initially think a certain thing. Oh, she's going to be rough around the edges. She's doing all this hard manual labor. But what happens to the guy who has that image in his head and then he talks to you and he gets the total opposite experience? Suddenly your job and field and craft of what you do for a living doesn't matter to him anymore, because experientially, that whatever's happening outside that home, when you walk through that door, he doesn't feel it. Guys don't care. Guys ain't, when women are like, if I went to school or I made all of this money, I didn't go to school to make 80,000, 100,000, 125,000 to date a guy that's making 40. We're never going to shame her into accepting the guy that's making $40,000. It's not going to happen. She put herself in a position that that's what it is that she desires. And either she's the type of woman that can garner and get that type of man, or she doesn't. If he's the type of man that's saying, I want a woman that's feminine, soft, respects my leadership, displays submissiveness at times, and works well with me and is on my program, are you the type of guy that can get that out of women, regardless of what she does for a living? Every guy doesn't qualify for the type of woman that he wants. And guess what? Every single woman doesn't qualify for the type of man that she thinks she wants.
Right.
We have to learn how to adjust to the sex we're saying we want. What we're doing as in dating, communication. This is a great, to me, I think this is a really cool analogy. Imagine going to for a job interview. You get there, you sit down, you're late, you in your pajamas, and you slide over your resume, and it's a whole bunch of irrelevant stuff that has nothing to do with the job position that you want. And as the person's trying to ask you questions, you're talking about how much you want to make and what your hours is going to be, and they're saying, well, this is what our salary is, and this is the prerequisites of what we're looking for in experience, and this is what we'd be willing to pay you, and this will be the schedule. And you say, yeah, I don't like any of this. I want way more money. You say in 5 days, I'll do 2 days. One of those days is going to be virtual. You just making up your own rules. What's the likelihood of you filling that job position? And you getting picked? Less than slim to none.
Yeah.
Men have each man, if there's different types of men, there's usually general attraction triggers of what most men want. And the men that are of demand, their standards are even higher. So I'll give you an example on my end. When I was younger and I was chasing after and thirsty and trying to, shoot my shot, and I'm sending flowers and doing all this stuff. And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. I said, man, this is a hell of a lot of effort. By the time I got to 30, things were a little bit different. And when I was on a dating app, I was a BLK Black. I had flew to Atlanta for 2-hour layover, and then I flew to Chicago and landed. When I flew to Atlanta, 2 hours, turned my phone on real quick, turned it back off, didn't check the app, got to Chicago. The 2 hours I was in Atlanta to the half hours I was in Chicago till I got in my cousin's car when she picked me up from the airport, it was 72 to 74 women that had matched with me or initiated contact with me after 2 hours in 2 different cities. You don't get to dictate anything to me. The other 69 women I can choose. That's the dating market. So if there's nothing else I'm going to say tonight that's going to be helpful, if we understand the opposite sex better, we'll move different. In the global dating market, we ain't worried about America, in the global dating market, in terms of desirability, it's white men at the top. It's black men number 2. It's Hispanic men number 3 and Asian men number 4. In terms of desirability, in terms of all the data and stats that they're collecting in terms of marriages, in terms of sex, access to sex, and the dating app data. Black men are second. Asian men are last. Asian women don't want Asian men in mass. On the flip side, depending on the stat, depending on the data, number 1 is either Asian women or white women, depending on the study. And then number 3 is Hispanic women. And then last is black women.
You just crucified yourself.
It's not crucified, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I'm saying it in that way and breaking it down in that way is a lot of this animosity that we're having with each other, black men and black women in this country. Africans don't see us as a part of their tribe. Jamaicans don't see us as a part of their tribe. There are no other groups that do. So if globally you are the least desired, and even the other black people, even if the other black people come here, they will look at you different, and they'll still treat you a little bit different. And it takes you a while to kind of warm up, and they'll be honest and say, when I first came here, my parents said not to deal with the black Americans. I've heard that they have told me this. Who else are you going to listen to in terms of whatever it is that's causing you to be at the bottom of the totem pole of desirability than a black man looking you in your face and saying, this is what I need to feel loved. This is what I need to feel connected. This is what we need in order to feel like we can get back together with y'all, and vice versa. Black women need to communicate and let us know what it is that we're failing and dropping the ball on. So all I'm saying is rather than trying to focus on men need to adapt to me, that's not the real world. If you want the job, if you want the position, you need to fill the prerequisites. If the prerequisites are softness, feminine, non-argumentative, more agreeable, either you want to be that or not. And if you were like, well, I don't want to do all of that stuff to get with a man, you're going to end up with the man that most women don't want and other men don't respect. The man that has respect has standards. And
hold on. Boeing, are you fact checking him right now? Oh no, you tend to do that. Go ahead, bro.
So I'm not in the business of trying to transform and say I'm not getting what I want in the dating market. So the problem is all other women. No, the market's the market. I need to adjust to the women. So if you are a woman by default, you have value in terms of beauty. Ain't nobody on the panel ugly. So if you're a woman and you're single and you're 30 or up, the issue is you probably need to adjust to the caliber of man that you say that you want, if you even know where to find him.
Damn.
In the Black community, I'm in a social club in Philly, working professionals, lawyers, doctors, you name it, right? The women who go to those facilities, to those spaces, have an unusual monopoly on a higher these are dudes that do golf, these are dudes that own yachts, right? All the women who don't know about the social clubs, all the women that don't go to the cigar lounges, they have no idea that there's a whole nother bracket of pool of men that they're not even having access to. A lot of Black women, because they didn't do what's the school? They didn't grow up in environments where they were put into these spaces to be put on game. In terms of when you went to school, why was the Asian women and the white women going for 2 reasons and you were going for 1? You were going to get your degree. They were going to get the degree and to find their partner. So when you walked across the aisle with your diploma in hand, they had the diploma in the ring. It's about mindset. It's about approach. It's about intentionality. And it's about humility of if you are 30 or up as a woman and you are mildly attractive, you're doing something wrong. And your single girlfriends can't help you. And if every man that says something to you, he needs to adjust to me, that's the problem.